We'll call the council meeting to order. Everybody stand for the pledge, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, take the roll.
Mayor O'Connor.
Here.
Morissette.
Here.
Wakefield. Here. Knutson. Here. Kennedy.
Here.
Ruck.
Here.
Hall.
Here.
All right, comments and suggestions from citizens present. This is your opportunity to express your opinion on any issue before the city that is not on tonight's agenda. If you do have a comment, please come up, introduce yourself, identify yourself and where you live, and keep your comments as brief as possible. Try not to repeat other people's comments. I think that's it. So, does anybody have a comment? Any comment? Any comment? Any comment? Hearing none, we'll close that portion of the agenda. Consent agenda.
Approve the amended meeting minutes from the June 5th, 2023, and the regular council meeting minutes from August 21st, 2023. Approve claims in the amount of $1,005,411.55. Approve the Utility and Public Works Mutual Aid Agreement. Approve the Lakefront Park Bandshell Lighting Memorandum of Understanding with the Hudson Chamber of Commerce. Appoint Jacob Clymer to the Hudson Housing Authority Board. Approve dive truck replacement. Approve the City Hall 3rd Street staircase replacement plans and authorize ad for bid. And approve the stormwater maintenance agreement for 22 First Street with Riverfront Properties Incorporated.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Morissette.
Yes.
Wakefield.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Code to require that a municipal judge be an actively licensed to practice law in the state of Wisconsin. She thinks it's important for that position to be a licensed attorney, so this was her recommendation, and so that's what staff is bringing forward to council for discussion.
I move to deny the ordinance change number 12-23, and I'll explain my reason.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Well, if there's no second, anyways, I think it defeats the purpose of what a municipal judge does. It's no different than the sheriff who is elected and does not need to be a police officer. I think you narrow the scope, and quite frankly, there's too many lawyers.
Like how many? Too many?
Move to suspend the rules.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. Just one second. I just want to, I probably got ahead of myself there. All right, I want to go back. We do have a motion. I just want to make sure if we have a second or not. Is there a second to Randy's motion? Okay, hearing none, the motion fails for lack of a second. And then a motion to suspend the rules and second to suspend the rules. All right, roll call.
Morissette.
No.
Wakefield.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes.
Kennedy.
Yes.
Ruck.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Motion's approved, rules are suspended.
Move to adopt the changes to ordinance number 12-23.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second to adopt. Discussion?
Again, I think you're restricting what the original intent of the state statute was for.
So, do we know, I mean, it's an interesting question, Randy, and I remember, if indulge me for a moment, but I remember this discussion when I was in the Minnesota legislature, and there was a motion to require all judges in the state of Minnesota to be attorneys, including the Supreme Court. In fact, I think it was specifically for the Minnesota Supreme Court. Interestingly enough, there is no statute that dictates that members of the Supreme Court had to be attorneys. I don't know if that's the case in Wisconsin or not, but we had a lengthy discussion about that, and that is, I mean, you're right. You go back to the origins of our constitutions and stuff, and it was supposed to be just citizen members of the court, and they did not have to be attorneys. I remember that well, so I just thought I'd add that in here because I've been through this. A little bit of a deja vu, but It's an interesting concept, not just concept, it's an interesting discussion because we've gone this far without it. Do we know how many other counties, how many other municipalities require this, or?
So I talked to New Richmond, they don't require it, but their judge is retiring and they plan to bring it forward to their council with their judge retiring as well to take a look at that option, to do it. And then River Falls never responded.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their requirement is.
Do you know how many judges around the state are not
That's a
attorneys?
good question.
Well, also the other question too is a lot of cities are getting rid of their municipal court. They don't want to deal with that, and then it just goes to the county for everything. Now, our municipal court often is a lot of juvenile cases, and I know that our current judge feels pretty strongly that it's good to have that done by the city versus just having the county handle it for the city. So, I mean, that's the other, kind of question too that's out there is, how many cities stay with it. I'm not recommending that we get rid of it. I've only heard positive things about having a municipal court. I don't see, the negative to it. But, that's, I think is a hard part is that, I don't know the number of cities that have gotten rid of it, and I think a lot of that could be for the fact that it's maybe hard to find people that run for judge. It could be the issue.
Aaron, if you, just indulge me for a minute. All due respect for Judge Garrity, I was appointed by Supreme Court Judge Shirley Abramson to the Judicial Conduct Review Board for the state of Wisconsin, which was a 9-member panel, and I was the only citizen member on that panel for many years. There was not once, Judge Garrity, any complaint from a municipal judge, as I was seated on that panel, that ever complained about a municipal judge. Your circuit courts and other courts, yes. But there was never really a complaint about the judicials of the municipalities that have that. Just some background.
But how many of the judges were non-attorneys?
Well, I didn't ask that.
Yeah, so we don't have, we don't know.
Randy, are you concerned, I mean, on one hand, you said there's a lot of attorneys. Are you concerned that we would have a hard time hiring someone that would fit
Oh,
that
no.
role, and we might want to go outside of the limitation of being an attorney to get someone who's a good fit? Like you said, a lot of juvenile cases. I think Judge Garrity's set a high bar there for,
Yeah.
way that she handles things. Is that part of your thinking?
No,
Is that
I
it'd be
I
better
just
to
think it
have?
needs to be open to every citizen that would want to serve
Okay.
and not hand tying them.
What is the pay for the judge?
Not enough. 18? Yep, 18,000.
And this is an elected position,
Yeah, it
so
is.
it's not that there's enough attorneys per se, it's
who
who would run
runs.
for office.
Do it, right.
Okay.
And then it's the council's feeling on who should be presiding over a municipal court.
Correct.
Is that question too? And like I said, it's an option.
Yeah.
Well, I
We
guess
don't
my,
require it now.
my point about that was it does take quite a bit of time, I would guess, and commitment for a pretty small fee.
Right.
Compensation for, and so would that, but you were going to say something before, Mike. I'm sorry, I jumped.
Yeah, I mean, I follow where Andy's coming from, that, this is an elected position, not done for the income. But if my memory is correct, there's very little competition on these races for judge. So I think maybe Randy, I'm putting words in your mouth, but maybe to just make the doors more open, to have other people who might be interested in that. At the same time, I know that that's a recommendation. I guess I don't know, I don't have enough meat on the bones for the pluses and minuses of making this change. It would be better. Is it the legal opinions that are always called on that might be that we've missed things in the past, or I don't know if that's a.
I don't know, Sue, do
have
you want to
somebody we
come
can
up
ask that
and weigh in on
question.
some of this? This might be better for you to answer than me.
Because right now, it's a recommendation, which is, thank you for the recommendation.
They have mentors and then talking amongst, but
So,
Yeah.
first of all, Randy, the commission that you sat on, I believe, was for circuit court judges. I don't believe that municipal court judges very often were referred.
Any court
So-
officer, any.
Okay, okay. Wisconsin has about 260 municipal judges. About half of them are attorneys. Most of the attorneys are in larger cities. And most of those municipalities have that requirement. I also have served for probably the last 15 years as the court-appointed liaison for the Supreme Court for the municipal judges for the 10th District. During that time, I've had a number of judges that have been investigated or I've been concerned about because they didn't know the law, they were not trained in the law, and they didn't follow the law. And it ended up being a big mess for the municipalities. That's what I don't want to happen. We're a city of 15,000 almost, and we have trials once a month, so whoever it is going to have to preside over a trial. And municipal education gives training to those judges, but it's a 5-day course. And again, there's a lot of interaction between judges on listserv and things like that, but a lot of judges are always very nervous, especially if they're not legally trained in handling a trial and how to do evidence and things like that. And we've had some pretty significant trials here. Most of them are OWIs, but I remember Chief Willems, long time ago, we had a 7-day trial on what constitutes drug paraphernalia. And I just don't think a layperson would be able to work their way through that. So I'm only recommending it because I really do think the city has grown so much, and the complexity of what we're seeing now with OWI trials and operating while under the influence of intoxicant, which is not necessarily alcohol, are becoming more complicated. And I think it's more difficult for somebody who's not legally trained to deal with those. So that's the reason that I made the recommendation. And you're free to do what you choose, but I know that it'd be hard, I think, for somebody. I'm not trying to limit it to any person. I really am not. But just based upon what I've been doing for 27 years, it's gotten more complicated. And I just think that it would be better if you had an attorney that knew the law and was fluent in the law, because they have to take CLE credits. Judges have to take CLE credits and become licensed, but I really do think that it would benefit the city to have that there. So thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Sue. Is there any liability that attaches to this? For decisions that are rendered?
Well, I mean, my guess would be challenges. If the judge errors, that definitely could be a problem. If they're not following the law, and, it could be, I think, costly for the city, especially if we start seeing a lot of appeals, because one side or the other is saying that you didn't even follow the law. How can you make that decision? Now we have to challenge that, and we have to defend that or not defend it, depending on the situation.
Turn to the league for...
Right.
How many times can you do that?
Yeah, well, exactly. And we seem to have our share lately.
All right. Anybody else? Was there a motion for approval?
Yes,
Okay, thank
and
you.
a second, yep.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion's approved. I don't have anything. Anybody?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. We stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody.